Yo, what's going on, everybody? Dark Zekrom here, and I'm with Storm Targaryen, the one and only, and we are back with yet another episode of Mania. But there's something a little special this time, Storm. What do you say about this special thing that we're doing here?
Well, first of all, this is our first time on Facecam, so if you don't
Exactly.
know us, this is what we look like now.
This is
Surprise.
us. If you've been watching our streams for any duration of time or checked us out from the other videos that we've posted, and you've probably already seen our mugs, but here they are this time for you, all on display, ready to see how our reactions, see how we talk to each other, and actually get a little more personal connection, hopefully, with you guys. But we've got DBD up on the screen. For those guys that don't know what that is, that's Dead by Daylight. Is a asymmetric multiplayer 4 versus 1 horror survival game where one person is the killer and there are 4 survivors. The survivor's main goal is to power up 5 gens total and get the heck out of the area by opening one of the gates and escaping, all while they're being chased with the killer, who is going to be the focus of the tier list today. And the killer's main goal is to down and hook the survivors and ultimately sacrifice them to the entity. We're not going to be talking too much about the lore of the game today, but we are going to be talking about uh, quality of the killers, how fun they are to play. In fact, I'm actually going to go ahead and hand that off to Storm so he can explain that a little more and based off our scale, because this isn't the typical DBD tier list you might see in your recommended.
Yeah, so this is going to be a DBD killer tier list. We're expecting you to know the general basics of the game. We're expecting you to be a player. Like, if you don't know anything about DBD, this probably isn't the video for you. But it is a killer tier list, and the way we've done it is we're breaking it down between not just how good the killer is, or not just how fun the killer is, but both. So we're doing it on a scale of, okay, if a killer is really good, they can get a max of 6 points, and if a killer is really fun to play against, it's a max of 3 points. You add the total together, and then that's where their ranking is. So it's about a 75% scale. So 75% their rank is based off of how good the killer is, and then 25% is based off of how fun the killer is to play against. Because we wanted it to be both a killer tier list and a little bit of survivor perspective as well. Because me and Jason have a lot of hours in this game. I have almost 600. Jason has over 600. We've
Yeah.
both been rank 1 survivor. I've been a rank 1 killer. We know what we're talking about with this stuff,
Yeah.
and we wanted to get both perspectives in there.
Yeah, we want to make sure that the whole game was kind of encompassed and both sides of the coin were acknowledged. So before you skip to the end of the episode and see the tier list and write your comment in the comment section down below, make sure that you understand that this is kind of a mix of perspectives and is not solely a this killer is the best killer in the game kind of tier list. It's um, more of a mix of the entire game's experience. So we want to make absolute certain that one of the scales is how fun they are to play against, and that can be a little subjective. You guys might hate playing against Huntress, while we might enjoy playing against Huntress, or we might absolutely despise playing against Wraith, while you guys might think Wraith's one of the most fun killers to play. All will be revealed in due time, but this is completely subjective and this is completely opinionated as well. If you don't like our opinions, that's perfectly okay. We'd love to hear your opinions as well. Put them down in the comment section below. And make sure to subscribe if you do enjoy the content and leave a like as well, depending on how you feel on the video. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Storm, the first one we've got on the list. In fact, let me preface by saying we're going from worst to best. Worst and best just being used respectively here and subjectively, not necessarily this is the worst killer. But the first one we've got on the screen is Legion.
So yeah, Legion. Listen. We know there's a lot of Legion haters out there.
Yes.
It's oh boy. We have him ranked at the bottom because again, this is a mix of both. So Legion, we think that Legion is both not the best killer in the world and not super fun to play against.
Not
Now, like
really.
me personally, I actually don't mind playing against Legion that bad just because I don't think he's that good. So like if I load into a game against Legion, I'm like, oh yay, we're gonna win. Like it's fine. And I think there's a lot of fun jukes you can do against Legion. It's a good time. But as far as like his actual kit goes, he doesn't have a ton to work with as far as Legion trying to win.
This is absolutely correct. I just put Legion on the screen and switched so you guys should be able to hear the game now. Forgot to do that, I admit. But what happens when you do a bit of live editing here. But Legion's tricky because they're kind of fun. You know, they're a really unique character experience. There's no other character in the game that is the same exact height as their survivors. I think they're a little shorter than some of them and a little taller than maybe some of the others. And when Legion was first revealed, we all like had a really cool idea. It was going to be similar to something like Spy from TF2, or just kind of like a character that is more aligned with sneakiness and deceptiveness and deceivery. Not more so just someone who is just a human and is just chasing us down. You know what I mean? Or multiple humans because they are a legion, not that name. But with Legion being so kind of flaky, for lack of a better term, they go for a chase, they hit you, you're in your mending state, and then they chase someone else when they see them because they're in their frenzy. They can see someone they've injured previously. They hit them in their mending state, then they run around, hit someone else in their mending state. They can't get looped too easily when they're in their frenzy state because they can vault, obviously. But it's kind of a, you're just taking us away from the main objective of the game and making us do something that isn't necessary, something extra, and that can be good. But Legion's only good when they're using their power, theoretically. The killers are supposed to be at their best when they're using their powers, and when Legion's power is activated, it just doesn't feel, it doesn't feel fully right. It doesn't feel like it's strong. It just feels it's more like an annoyance than it is anything.
Yeah, it's like Legion it doesn't have the best lethality, I guess is the way you could put it. Like if you're getting chased by Legion, at least for me at this point, I'm never really worried that I'm gonna get downed. I'm just
Yeah,
like, oh, he's gonna hit me. I'm gonna have to mend, then he's gonna go to someone else. So it doesn't really matter that much. And obviously, experienced survivors are just gonna not heal and then just do the gens, and then the game's over. So
exactly.
Legion just needs something. I don't know what buff Legion would need, but it's just not the best killer right now. But they're not the worst thing ever. They are the worst on this tier list. But I don't mind playing against them that much. I think there's some fun jukes you can do with them, like trying to bait them into baiting or jumping the window and you jumping through it again and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like there's definitely like counterplay. They're not broken by any means,
No.
but it's just not the best killer, like not very good, and then also not super fun to play against. And if like with this tier list, as you'll see later on, you kind of have to have one or the other to get to the top of the tier list. Like you need to be either really fun to play against or really good killer to be at the top. And since Legion is neither of those, someone's got to be last place. So just happens to be Legion.
Fortunately, so it just happens to be. Yeah. So yeah, that's what we were thinking about Legion. Definitely needs some more work. I don't necessarily know if they need a rework, maybe just some buffs or some kind of something special for them. But I think that's where we're gonna go ahead and end off on Legion. Next up, though, we've got ourselves Pig. Pig is right
Amanda,
here. Amanda herself.
legend.
Truly.
Listen, Pig is just, oh man, like. So on again with this tier list with the scaling, like if you're super annoying to play against, it doesn't hurt you that bad. Like it's mainly you want to be a good killer, and then if you're also fun to play against, that's how you get to the top tier of this list. But if you're not great as a killer and then also not great to play against, this is how you end up with Legion. Pig is just like she's just fine as a killer. Like there's not a whole ton of reasons to use her. There's so many better killers out there. But her power is pretty solid, like making people. It's so like both Legion and her are so good at getting the survivors to do other things other than gens, and then that gives them time to make up for their mediocre powers of like actually ending chases.
Exactly.
So she's good in that, but God, is she annoying to play against? Oh, it's not fun. Like as
Yeah.
soon as you load in, you see that trap, you're just like, oh no, like it's
Here
gonna be
we
one of these
go.
games.
Yeah, it's just Pig. You in order to do well with Pig, it really like, and obviously this is, other killers are good at other players are good with certain killers, and someone might be a god at Pig. I'm sure there's someone out there, but most of the time from what we've experienced, play Pig well, and to do well with Pig, you just have to play lame. You have to camp. You have to chase or tunnel a killer or a survivor, because if you want them to die with by the helmet, or get them to be close to dying or make a mistake and get desperate, you have to chase them. And most of the time when they have their helmet on, that means you just downed them recently, and that means now you're tunneling them or you're camping them at the hooks so that they can die on the hook. And it's just you have to play kind of lame. She can get really easily looped. Yeah, she's got her little dash attack, which can be really good, and she's undetectable when she's crouching, which is good for surprise attacks. but she growls and or like roars for some reason louder than probably any other sound in the game. So it's not really a surprise attack. It's just a quick jump scare, but you can get out of the way fast enough by just hearing the roar, you know, like that instant it happens, you know there's a pig nearby and you just got to like turn the other way because she doesn't have a very good turning radius with her dash.
Yeah, it's not the best. I mean, I have seen some like really good pig players use it to end chases pretty quick. Like when they're trying to loop a pallet, you use it and you can go either way with it because it's so long. So if you
Yeah,
catch a survivor off guard, it can be decent, but most pig players aren't going to be able to do that. So she's just more annoying than anything. Like it's not
exactly.
really that hard to play against her. It's just like a bother, you know?
Yeah, it's just annoying. I had a game the other night where I was stuck between a rock and a hard place and a third rock because I had the trap on my head. I had to try to get hatch. They closed the hatch. I had to try to get the trap off my head to get out of the gate because you can't leave with the thing on your head. And my timer was almost out. The timer of the game was almost out. If I didn't mention that, so I was like, I'm gonna die here somehow, and it's just annoying. I shouldn't have to feel annoyed when I'm playing or feel like my death wasn't deserved. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
So
like and that's the thing though. It's like even with this annoying thing that she has, it can be completely negated because there's a chance that the first one you go to, you get it off. And then like she barely has any powers at that point.
exactly,
So it's like
she can't replenish the traps when she's got her four, or sometimes with add-ons, which I don't think we're really considering add-ons in this because if we consider add-ons, Huntress is an S tier.
yeah, well, like with add-ons, like keep in mind we're thinking about it more of like the max color add-on you'll get is green. Because I
Yeah,
mean, I think we can all agree once you get to purple and red add-ons, it borderlines changes the killer. Like it's just a
absolutely.
whole
Yeah,
nother killer at that
yeah,
point. And like it's not realistic to play against a killer and expect them to have purple and red add-ons all
exactly.
the time. So yeah, we're just going with like very minimal add-ons in
Yeah,
mind. But yeah, all that said, pig, not great.
not great at all. So let's go ahead and move on to our next one, which, if I'm not mistaken, the next one should be Wraith.
Hey, Bing Bong,
So
a
I
legend.
think the main thing that's putting Wraith so far down isn't actually the fun factor. It's the how good they are factor. Because my God, is it fun to play against a Wraith? Holy crap!
Yeah, Wraith is so fun. And like that's the thing about this tier list again. If you're a good killer, that's gonna move you up the tier list. Whereas if you're fun to play against, it'll keep you out of F tier, like with Wraith.
Yeah,
But like Wraith was one of the highest killers we had ranked as far as pure fun factor. But he's just not a good killer. Like it's tragic. Like
yeah.
as much as like the stealth thing is cool, the fact that you can see him from a mile away just creeping up on you like makes it not so great. And he does have that speed boost. They buffed that like a bunch of patches ago. But that even that doesn't really help for the most part. If
It's
you can see him coming, you can get to a pallet and you're fine.
yeah, exactly. It's really not enough. It's good to end chases in a way, but the time between you having to recloak after a chase, you know, begins and then uncloak again. The survivor just gets further and further away. And the higher up in the tiers you go, the better the survivors get at looping you. And, you know, Wraith is, I think, if one of, if not the easiest killer to loop in the entire game. You can sit there and loop a Wraith the entire game, and they'll hit you maybe once before you know they get a chance to hit you again because you can just sit there and you can go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. If you know what you're doing, they're going to swing and miss, and then you're going to go run to another pallet, and they're not going to have time to bing bong and then bing bong again and chase you down and hit you. You know, so
Mhm.
we were talking about this before we did the video, and we think Wraith might need a rework and might need some kind of new power. And we figured something. You know, he's like his lore. He's a mechanic, and maybe he could do something with gens where he can just absolutely go ham on a gen and just destroy the heck out of it and do like regress like 25 to 50% automatically, but it takes a while to do that animation. It's on a long cooldown, but we're not sure. Maybe throw your guys' ideas in the comments on how you could fix Wraith to make him a little better. But just right now, he's literally he is killer 101. This is how you play killer.
Yeah, he needs help. Like, and I've seen people talk about like, oh, one thing that would help Wraith a lot is just not being able to see him from far away. And then like maybe it works like Freddy, where once he gets close to you, you can see him, so that
Yeah,
it doesn't encourage Wraiths to just like camp the hook the entire time.
exactly.
But yeah, he needs help. Like
Really
it's sad.
does.
But again, he is fun to play against though.
Yeah,
Like he's
absolutely.
very fun to play against.
It
That's
is
why he's not an F tier. Because
absolutely.
as a survivor, like, wow. Like, as soon as you load into a game and you see it's Wraith, it's like, oh boy,
This
like
game
we're
just
about to
got
loot this
good.
killer. So he's fun, and like not even just that. Like if you consider the really good add-ons, he can be pretty good. Like with the Silent Bell and stuff, and that makes
Silent
it
Bell's
really fun.
scary.
Because then you have no idea where he's coming from, which is pretty good. But again, that doesn't really help him out much.
Yeah.
But it's something.
Yeah. Also, guys, for those that are seeing the video, I'll get better at throughout this clicking the killers. I know Pig was on the screen for a while we were talking about Wraith, so apologies for that. But he just when you play against a Wraith, is one of the most fun things you can do. And if you need loot practice, try to get into a Wraith game. I know there's no way to do that, but just try to get into a Wraith game because looping Wraith is a really good way to make sure that you're doing it right.
Yeah.
I think that's everything good for Wraith. Next up, though, we've got ourselves Clown.
Good old Clown. I feel bad that he's this low.
Yeah.
Because I never thought he was a bad killer by any means.
Same, I
like,
always thought he was a lot better than he is.
Yeah, when you look at his power and when you play against him for the first time, it's like, oh my god, this killer is insane. Like I can't see anything and I'm slow. This is crazy. But he's just, I think he kind of suffers from all these other killers have been getting buffed constantly, or new killers come out and they're already really good. That Clown just keeps falling behind and falling behind.
Yeah.
And his power is solid in chase. It's really good at ending chases. Like once you catch up to somebody, you can down them pretty quick. It's just that he has nothing else. Like he has no map control. He has no way to get around. He has no way of like finding people. Yes, you can throw the bottle in an area, and then if someone's there, you'll know. But you're not gonna that's just a waste of bottles most of the time. So he's kind of a one-trick pony in that sense of just ending chases quickly.
Yeah.
If you're gonna pick a kill that ends chases quickly, there's so many better options.
Yeah, it's kind of disappointing. You feel almost bad for him. He's just kind of like a sad little fat beer gut dude. You know what I mean?
He's got a coughing problem too.
Yeah, exactly. Tough. He's struggling, man. This man's just wheezing all the time. I feel bad for this killer. He can also be looped, especially if he's used his 2 bottles already and you've been able to get out of the way from it or able to even dodge it. He can also be easily looped because what else does he?
Yeah, and like I think he has 4 bottles or something at base, or 3.
Is it 4? I thought it was 2. I don't remember.
Yeah, I know it's more than 2, or maybe I'm tripping. I don't know. But and then on top of him not being the best killer, he's also not super fun to play against because obviously he's good at ending chases, so that takes the fun out of running around the killer. And then also getting your screen all pinked up all the time is can give people headaches. So it's like this is just not. It's not a good time.
You get double vision, and then if you're playing drunk, you got quadruple vision, and it's not a good look.
It's crazy. So I think Clown just kind of gonna have to stay here unless they change his power in some way.
Unfortunately. But that does lead us to our next killer, who is the OG, the one, the only, Trapper.
Yeah, Trap Daddy.
Mr. Evan McMillan.
Yeah, he's Trapper's interesting because there's a lot of really good Trapper players out there.
Yeah.
And they make him look amazing. It's crazy. And when you've played against a good Trapper, it's terrifying because everywhere you go, especially on certain maps with a lot of grass, you're just tripping because you're like, I'm going to step in something. It's going to happen.
Freak out.
So he definitely has a lot of potential, but I think most players who play him aren't going to have that fun of a time because obviously he gets looped really easily. Yeah. And all he's got are his traps. So if people aren't stepping in him, then that's a wrap.
Yeah, that's it for you. He's a really interesting killer. I had a train of thought, but let's see if I can get back on it. He's the first killer of the game. The mascot. He's supposed to be big. We're not asking for a lot, but with his traps. Yes, you can do the fake out thing to get them to run away from loot, but that's kind of a higher level killer player thing. You don't usually see that in the lower ranks. And it's also kind of tricky to do because they know you're faking it because they know how long the cooldown is and how long the timer takes to place a trap fully, then they're not going to run away. They're just going to stick to your loop and you just wasted a lot of time. I believe he still is the fastest base movement in the game, which is weird. Why is this guy the fastest base movement in the game? So he catches up to you very quickly. It's
especially
terrifying.
With bloodlust.
Yeah,
it's wild.
Yeah, looking behind you after a long chase because he made you go to a new loop is one of the scariest things in the game, probably, because this dude's just hulking after you. You hear his leather rubbing against himself. It's bad. It's bad, dude.
It's not what you want.
It really
Um,
isn't.
so yeah, he definitely has like some upside to him, but there's a lot of better killers out there, so
Absolutely.
he's not going to be that high as far as pure killer skill, I guess, or killer potential. But as far as playing against him, it like completely depends on the player, and obviously, yes, that's the case for every killer,
Hmm.
but I mean, it's really the case with him. Like playing against a good trapper, terrifying. Playing against a bad one is amazing because you could just loop him to death,
Yep.
and he'll put his traps like in the most obvious places, so you can like disable them right in front of him. And there's a lot of BM you can do with
Yeah.
trappers. We're trying to get them to walk on their own traps and things like that.
Hmm.
Um, so he can be kind of fun to play against, but it's really dependent on how the game goes.
And who's playing him?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's good. I think we've really nailed down what we think about Trapper. Up next, actually my main, I would say, Michael
Michael.
or the
Yeah,
Shape.
he's also one that I would expect to be higher. Like when you just look at his power on paper, it's like wow, that's really good. Like
Yeah,
he's scary. And he is the number one killer we had as far as fun to play against. Because Michaels are the best. Like it's
yeah.
like the only times where you're actually gonna get scared in this
Mm-hmm.
game. Because they'll just pop out of the corner. Like you could be just chilling, having a good time, and you're like, oh, might as well look behind me. I don't know. And then he's right there. Who knows how long he's been there for?
He's just
And it's
standing.
so fun. There's so many good moments that everybody has had playing this game and
Yeah,
playing
I
it.
am.
Like,
I am such a stickler for detail when it comes to video games, especially with like guest characters. And I I think Michael is their best licensed killer from a putting like from a getting the feel of the character right perspective, from making it feel like you're playing against the actual killer. I think Michael is their best because my God, do you feel like you're in Halloween? It's ridiculous. It's
yeah,
terrifying, especially when you're playing on Haddonfield. He's just standing down at the end of the street looking at you. It's so scary. It genuinely is really just like one of the most jump scary ways to play this game, especially if he's tier 1 infinite Michael. Which, again, we're not playing add-ons, but that's just as an experience aspect of thing. This guy, playing against a Michael is it feels like you're playing against Michael Myers, not
yeah,
someone playing Michael Myers.
yeah. They really nailed the feel of Michael, which is
Yeah.
why we ranked him so high as far as fun goes. But as far as actual killer potential goes, he's not the best. Just 'cause,
No.
as you alluded to with the with his power, the fact that you're so slow and have
Yeah.
such a like low range at the beginning of the game is really bad because
Not
as you
good.
know, gen rushing is a real thing, and like all you got to do is do a couple gens, and then you only got two more, and then he just gets to tier two, and then it's tough to catch
Yeah.
up. Like you're always playing catch up with Michael,
Yeah.
which is tough. Obviously, he can snowball really hard because once you get to tier
Absolutely.
three, you have the longer lunge, insta downs, all that.
You're much
But
faster.
it's just yeah, and you're way faster too. But it's just you're always playing catch up, which is tough because I
Yeah.
mean, there's so many good killers that you don't need to do that with.
Yeah,
So
it's a really hard balance with him. You got to really find the right uh timing of when to use your stock. You don't want to be stalking too much because then you're not chasing. You don't want to be chasing too much because you're stalking. So he's also he doesn't have anything to stop loops. Literally nothing. Yes, you can argue tier 3 because the extended lunge and speed, but you just throw the pallet down a little earlier.
yep,
He is the, like we were arguing with Wraith. Michael was probably the second or if not worst killer to be loop or to loop. You know what I'm trying to say there.
yeah,
So yeah, sucks. He is my main. I love playing Michael. I think his power is super fun. I think the feel you get when you're playing him is really fun. You feel super powerful when you play him. But he is bottom of C tier.
yeah. It's how it goes.
That's how it be. All right. Next up is a pick you don't hear too much often of, but we got ourselves the Demogorgon.
Bemo, the best. I think this is. You talked about how Michael is like the best representation of the character. I think this is easily second place. I think they did a
Yeah.
great job with Demogorgon. Like if you're a Stranger Things fan, you couldn't be happier with how he came out. Just the music that plays when you get to play
It's
against him is really
so
fun.
intense. It's really
Like he's
cool.
just he's such a fun killer to play against because of that, and then also the way his power works. it's good, but it also can be played around. Like as a survivor,
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like you're just as soon as he catches you, you're screwed. Like you can actually juke him out and things. I think that makes it pretty fun to play against him, which is why he's higher up on this list.
Yeah.
But as far as just pure killer goes, he's not great. Like he's not bad, but he's not great either. Like as far as like map control goes, there's a lot of better options out there. Even though his portals are pretty good, you could just set them on like 4 of the gens, and then those 4 gens you're just gonna have control of because you can do pop the weasel strats and all that.
Ooh.
And then his lunge, now that's got buffed, it's definitely a lot better. But you can still juke it. You know,
Yeah,
like you can get juked really hard.
It's easy to tell when he's about to lunge too. He like cocks his arms back, and then he's like kind of like summons a little bit of an aura to him, and he goes for the lunge. But I think what makes this killer so fun and why he's a little higher than Michael is the sound, like the music that plays in Chase, and the scream. I feel terrified playing against this guy. I like love and hate playing against Demogorgon because of how scary he is. Like he did it a second ago when Storm was talking, but he might do it again right now. But he just screams when he hits you and when he gets a successful hit, and that is like the most blood curdling scream I think I've ever heard, next to maybe someone like Nancy or Claudette on Hook. You know,
Steve on Hook.
Steve on Hook is the best. Absolutely. Steve on Hook is hilarious. If you guys haven't heard Steve get hooked, try to get into a Steve game or play Steve, because it's just Oh, he screamed, but he didn't make the sound. What the heck, Demo? He like did the scream animation, but he didn't make the sound. There it is. That scream is terrifying, and I love it. But yeah, he's where he's at for a reason.
Yeah, could be better.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so next up we've got ourselves the Deathslinger.
Hey, pew pew.
Mr. Call of Duty himself.
oh, Deathslinger. This is a killer where, like, when this power out announced, I was like, this is gonna be one of the best killers in the game. Like, this is wild. But actually playing against him, he's not that good. Like he definitely could be a lot better.
Absolutely.
But he is pretty solid. Having range is huge. Like being one of 2 range killers is really, really important. And that's good. But the fact that it sends you into a mending state, like obviously I understand it balance wise, because it'd be a little wild if it didn't. But he's just he's not super, super great. And there's definitely counterplay. Like if you're a survivor, you could just make sure to keep dodging, weaving between trees and whatnot. And like, yeah, you're open to M1, but I mean, if you're close to a pally, you'll be fine. So, you know, there's counterplay to him, but because of that, I think that's what makes him pretty fun to play against. Because, you know, again, the worst killers to play against are the ones that either are just adding tasks for you to do, or that are just, they feel like they're unfair sometimes. I don't ever feel like Deathslinger's unfair.
Not at all. I think, in fact, Deathslinger is one of the few characters that really makes you think. Because you have to dodge, you know, you have to think about where he's, you know, looking. You have to see how he's aiming. You can't just stare forward, because if you're just staring forward and running straight, he's just gonna M2, M1, and you're screwed. I really like the aspect of if someone's on the other side of a window, not a pallet, but a window, and you shoot them and pull them in close enough, you can M1 them through the window. I think that's really cool, and I think that adds to kind of a strategy aspect for survivors as well. Of I gotta make sure I stay away from windows, but I gotta also make sure I use them. I think what makes him kind of bad power-wise is how long his stun lasts if he gets his chain broken. He like sits there and stares downwards for a long time. I think it's a little. I feel like it might be the same length as a pallet. It just feels different because he's just kind of standing there. But I think it's a little longer. I think it's a little longer than the base stun stuff, because he just sits there for a while. I think he takes like a good couple breaths before he moves. So power-wise, you know, that kind of pulls him down a little bit, because he can lose chase really easily if you screw up a spear or a harpoon. But he's really fun though to play against, and that's what's kind of cool. And you know, like Storm said, being a ranged killer, that's really important in this game, because it's, you know, there's only 2, and the fact that, you know, that's even a thing it's cool. He's really cool. He's, you know, the gun killer that we've all been wanting, but with a little bit of DBD flair, and I think it works really well.
Yeah, like he's definitely pretty solid, and he's pretty fun to play against. He's just not like over the top fun or over the top good, which is why he is where he is.
Exactly. Alrighty, so next up, we've got ourselves the Doctor.
The Shakta.
The Shakta.
Oh goodness, man, he is changed dramatically. Like
He's
it is
yeah.
crazy. I mean, and it's like, crazy, haha. But I mean, he still has like the normal stuff that he did before, but it's just so much better now.
It really
Like
is.
it's wild.
We've
But yeah,
both
Doctor.
probably been playing since like 2017, 2018, just to preface. So we've
Yeah.
experienced some of these killers in their pre-buff states.
Yeah, I know. I've been playing since like the game came out or anything, but I know I started when Clown first came out.
Yeah, me
That's
too.
about the time frame for us.
Me too.
But yeah, Doctor's good. Like he has a lot of cool things he can do. He has a lot of like little things that add up over time. Like I know when people first play against Doctor, the duplicates that pop up always like throw them off,
Yeah.
or like the reverse skill checks throw people off a lot.
Yeah, those really catch
Even
people up.
experienced players that'll get me every now and then. The
Same.
first time it happens in a match, I'm like, oh, wasn't ready for that. But yeah, like that little stuff helps him a lot. And then obviously the change to his power is so good. Like not having to switch between the
Oh,
modes, like is amazing.
he has
And
that extra
obviously,
static blast that's a lot bigger, more of just a
yeah.
circular area. He's really gotten a lot better.
So he still has like the old strat, which is shock them so that they can't drop down a pallet, hit him, and there you go. But he's also easily the best killer at finding people. Like the
Yes.
screaming factor is so huge, and on top of that, he adds tasks to do. You have to get out of madness to do anything. So he has all these little things that add up into being a very, very, very solid killer. He's just
Yeah.
not like over the top strong, but he's a really solid pick. The biggest thing about him is he doesn't have the best map control. Like he can't
No.
get places very far. But he does have enough to where you don't really need it as much because everyone's so distracted doing whatever they're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
So
So
he's a pretty solid killer.
he's solid from a power standpoint, absolutely. But I think the thing that pulls him down into C tier is he's really annoying to play.
Yeah.
It's for me personally, I enjoy playing against a doctor because you've been hearing him the whole time. He's just been laughing. It's hilarious. And when he gets you stun him, he's just like hee. It's like that's hilarious. Like that's such a satisfying thing to hear when you stun a killer, But it's annoying because you can't hide, and stealth is such a meta right now, and always kind of has been, but more so nowadays. And not being able to hide and use some of the perks that are good with hiding and being a little more stealthy, it makes it really frustrating because people have to get pushed out of their comfort zone, and people aren't necessarily comfortable with that. So they have to kind of adapt on the fly when they're playing against a doctor, and people who are used to looping, he kind of puts a stop to that too. So he makes people jump out of their comfort zone a little bit, which is wow. I just realized that's really fitting.
Yep. And
Very fitting.
I think you touched on it there. I think the best thing about him is that if you're bad at the game, you're gonna struggle against Doctor because you're gonna have to be able to loop and know the maps and know windows and things to have a chance. Like I have a bunch of friends that play this game, we have a good time, but they can't loop and they just rely on stealth. And since it's not a thing against Doctor, he's gonna win those games.
Yeah,
So
you absolutely need to adapt on the fly when playing with against Doctor.
And like he would be higher, but again, since we are factoring in the survivor perspective a little bit, how fun you are to play against, man, he for the most part is not a good time because he's so good.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
So it kind of balances him out a little bit. Speaking of balance, here's Bubba. Looks like he's about to fall over all the time.
Good old Leatherface. Another crazy strong killer now. Like these I'm really happy that the devs like keep updating the game. Like it's really cool to see that they're like really paying attention to the community. But yeah, he used to be garbage. Like just
Absolutely.
used to be garbage. But that one change of him being faster, using that chainsaw, wow, that makes a difference.
Yeah, it really messes with it.
Oh my goodness, he's crazy. Like, because obviously beforehand, he was already the only killer, besides Plague, which we'll get to, that could down multiple people at the same time. But unlike Plague, it's not like you have to hit them twice with the Purge. He just hits you once, and 2 people are down instantly, and that swings the entire game.
Absolutely.
Like, that's so wild. And then the fact that now he's even faster, he can catch up to people on sprint burst. That's wild. Like, that's so wild. So he's way better now. He's a very, very, very solid killer.
Yeah.
It's just, again, his problem is always going to be map control. He can't get places very fast. Like, yes, if he's in your area, you're screwed. But, like, you can just make sure that your survivors are spread out more, and then he's not nearly as strong.
Yep.
But if you get caught slipping, you're going to lose. Like,
yeah, you're going down.
It's crazy. And I
Yeah.
think also that he playing against Leatherface, it really discourages you from playing risky and going for these crazy plays because if you slip up even a little bit on your positioning, you're dead.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
Yeah,
that makes him really strong.
he really, yeah, you have to be on your toes playing against him. He's not someone you can just casually walk near or walk by and get away from him. Good chase, you know. If you and his chainsaw hitbox lasts so long. It
Hmm.
is ridiculous how long that hitbox lasts. You could be like going to BM and heal a survivor really quickly, and you got hit because he's swinging his chainsaw around at the end of his animation. You know, and it's ridiculous. It's he's a really he's in a very special place. Of he's very strong, and because he's so strong, instant killers are never fun. That's why he's where he's at.
Yeah. And I mean like he could be better as well. Like there
True.
can you can still loop him pretty hard. Like yes, he can chainsaw the pallets, but you know that doesn't change it that much. So
No.
he's not like uncounterable by any means. It's
Exactly.
just that because of the fact that you have to play like disciplined, I guess is the best word. He's not super fun to play against because you're always tense. Like you can't just be loose and go for this fun stuff. Like you have to be like, okay, let's spread out, let's do these gens and get this over with. You know.
Exactly.
So.
So that's I think that's good enough to talk about him. He's in a good spot, very strong, but not the best experience.
Mhm.
Um, Speaking of multiple survivors going down at once. Hi, Plague.
Yeah, speaking of, oh man, Plague. Wow.
Bleh, no pun intended. Bleh. God, this
She was
killer.
um she was already really good. And
Yeah.
then they added the update of where she always has at the beginning of the game she'll have one vile purge. Oh
Mm-hmm.
man, that small detail changes everything. Cuz like obviously, experienced players are going to know the strat is just don't heal against plague
Yeah.
and that nerfs her really hard. But now that she's always going to have one and then add-ons will add more than one vile purge, it's just not great. Like it's gonna be not fun for you. And then that's not even mentioning all the gross animations that are in the game
Yeah.
now. That you
Yeah.
have to deal with the whole game. It's not pleasant at all. It's not a fun
No,
time.
it's not a good time playing against her. She's also the first killer that talks, I'm pretty sure. Which is a fun little fact. She just talked in my ear, so I had to mention. But she's God. I remember when she first came out, dude. Those games were hell. Oh my God. We've been playing since Clown, so we experienced Plague when she first came out, and it was not fun that like first few like couple weeks. It was just like you just constantly hearing throw up and constantly hearing like you know coughing and sickness, and you're basically playing with no mither the whole game because you don't want to heal to give her a stronger power. And
Mhm.
even if you don't heal, especially now, and you're in your constant no mither, she can just like halfway across your chase just down you instantly. It was so hard to get away from her, and it still is because she can just throw up on you around a corner because she can just wiggle her mouse and there it goes in a weird wave. you know
Yeah.
it's just
Of the ranged killers, she's definitely the least skill based. But like, from a killer perspective, she's really good because of everything we said. You can
yeah.
vomit on anything. You can just vomit on them constantly, and then boom, that's a hit. And then you just have to hit them one more time, and you're good to go. And
Hmm.
then that's not even factoring in the vile purge. As soon as you get that, you're a god. Like
Yep.
you can literally just shake your mouse and get like three people. Like
It's
it's
ridiculous.
crazy. It's
Oh
crazy.
my god. I don't know. I don't. It's been a bit since I've checked some patch notes, so I don't remember if they've lowered the range of it. But I remember her max range Vile Purge was ridiculous. You could
Yeah,
not get away from it.
she's really strong. But the reason why she's not higher in the tier list is because she's one of the worst, if not the worst, killer to play against.
Yeah,
Like it's just not fun. To the
not at
point
all.
where if you are a plague main, I'm sure you know this, it's tough to get into games because as soon as people load in, they see the plague, the DC. Like they just don't
Exactly.
want to do
Yeah.
it.
I was
So
playing with somebody and I looked at their profile on Steam, and in their little bio it says will DC against Plague.
mhm.
That's just what people do because she's not fun to play against. She's a terrible time. She's great lore wise. First killers to talk, fun, but God, does she suck?
Yeah, not a fun time.
No. Next up, though, I don't really have any fancy segues, but next up we've got Ghost Phase.
Ghostface, this is a new tier.
Yeah, this is B tier.
Hey, we're in the
Bottom
B
of B
tiers.
tier.
We're starting to get some pretty good killers now.
Yep.
And Ghostface is like I think the most all-around killer as far as this
Yeah.
tier list goes.
I also think
Like he's
Ghostface is
very
pretty
solid.
underrated.
Yeah, like he's got to be the best stealth killer in the game.
Yeah.
And he's just so fun, you know. Like I'm personally a big fan of the Scream movie, so I was super pumped to see him added to the game.
Yep.
But also, you know, playing in stealth killer is always fun. That's why we like Wraith. That's why we like Myers, because it's spooky. It'll get you.
It's a good time.
But he's also just funny. Like, you know, like there's so many there's so many Ghostface players that just love to meme around, and it's funny to see like Ghostface players will just like teabag across the map or like whatever it is, and then pop your head around the corner, all that stuff. But like as far as like the actual killer, he's still really good. Being able to expose people really quickly and then just down them is so good. Like that's crazy.
It's really strong.
Like,
one of his idle animations, you guys are literally seeing it now. He'll like stand there and he'll go, boo, and he'll start like laughing as he stands back up, and it's so funny, you know. He just with his head poking around the corner every so often, and with him just, you know, as much as it's infuriating to get teabagged, it's really funny watching him go up and down like a Oompa Loompa across the map, you know. He's a good time, but he's fun from a what's the perspective? He's fun from like a visual perspective. Playing against him though can be kind of infuriating because he is an insta-down killer and he's this very, very good stealth insta-down killer. Yes, you can reveal him, but a lot of the times, unless you're really looking around a lot, you're not going to see him in time, and the reveal can be kind of tricky to hit sometimes too. So,
yeah, there's times where you could be looking straight at him and he'll still get the expose on you, which is kind of whack. But I mean, obviously, you can only change that so much without it being broken on one of the other sides.
Exactly.
You know, like if like it was pretty bad when he first launched.
Yeah.
But
I think it's in a good spot.
He's in a good spot. Yeah, he's a pretty good killer. It's pretty fun to play against. It's just, you know, at the end of the day, if you see him, you expose him, or if like, you know, you reveal him, he's just normal killer at that point. So,
yeah.
You know,
I think he's definitely one of the higher tier killers on personality.
Yep.
Got a lot of personality. He's really cool. But up next, we got ourselves Mr. Hillbilly himself.
Billy boy.
Billy Bob Bojack.
Oh, man. Who would have thought in 2017, 2018, Billy would be this low on the tier list? It's crazy. Oh, man, the fall from grace. I mean, he's still not bad, though. That's the thing. I think people overrate his nerf. Like, obviously, it affects him a lot, but he's still not a bad killer by any means.
Yeah,
still really
not at all.
You know?
An insta-down killer. You can't be bad with an insta-down.
Yeah, like, you know, obviously we all know Billy at this point, but just to reiterate, him being able to speed around the map and insta-down you out of nowhere is really good. That's always going to be a great power, regardless of the turning and the cooldown stuff. Like, it's just, that's such a crazy thing. And like we've been talking about through this tier list, not having map control nerfs a ton of killers. He has all the map control you could want. You know, you hook someone, sprint around, down someone, hook someone, and now there's only two people, a ton of pressure on them.
Yep.
You know, so he's really strong.
Yeah, he's super strong, but he's also fun to play against because of his power, it's not really good in tight quarters, and a lot of loops are tight quarters, so you can't really get a good chainsaw going. Really good Billies can. They know the timing, they know what they're doing, but he's hard to kind of master. He's definitely a high skill ceiling, but playing against him is really fun because you can loop him well. Watching him run around is hilarious. You can hear him from a mile away. I think Storm, I think you were in this game. We were playing a game, and I don't remember who was it was me crouching or you were crouching, and I was spectating or something, and Billy came running up Pride Rock and just launched. he flew over, like, I think like partial obstruction, like there was like something blocking underneath the Pride Rock. There was like something there, and he flew over it, and it was so funny watching that. Like he's crazy cool. From like that kind of perspective, I think he's really fun to watch, just running around and just being like a goofball.
Yeah, he's definitely wacky sometimes, and it's really satisfying when you're looping a Billy and you get him to run into the wall. Like that's always going to be a satisfying feeling. You know, having counterplay to a strong killer ends up here on the tier list. Like he's definitely not overpowered anymore, but he's pretty fun to play against.
Yeah.
So.
You mentioned earlier surprise rankings on tier lists. I think this next killer is going to be pretty surprising too, because we got ourselves Freddie Mercury.
Freddie Mercury, the legend, the sweater god.
The sweater
Yeah,
god. No.
Freddie again.
Freddy
These
Krueger,
buffs,
man.
it's wild. Who would have guessed he's this high? But Freddie's good. Like he's
Yeah.
really really good. Like if we're going based off just skill, he'd be higher. But that's the thing. His power, like it's really good. Being able to
Yeah.
one set traps, two fake pallets if you want to go that route, three teleport, four having the constant sleep passive and people not having terror radiuses for most of the game.
Yep.
It's really good. Like all that added up, and he has an extended lunge, which is just the cherry
Oh,
on
dude,
top.
the lunge never
So
left. The lunge has been in the game since he was introduced. It's crazy. It's
yeah,
ridiculous.
he's so much range. It makes no sense.
It really doesn't.
But yeah, he's so strong, and the map control is really good too. And then you can throw in mind games of like, oh,
Hmm.
I'm gonna start teleporting over here to get them off the gen, and then go chase someone across the map. Like it's just, he's really good.
Yeah.
He's really really good now.
Yeah, I think he was one of the most well deserved for a rework, and he's in a very good spot. He's not too strong. He's not too weak anymore. He's also fun to play against because you hear the la-las. You know, he's coming. He feels like Freddy. You know, uh, he's an iconic horror movie character as well. You know, Freddy Krueger. Everyone hears that name and they shiver a little bit. Uh, he's really cool. He's very fun to play against. He doesn't feel unfair. His powers are very unique. There's no other killer that can teleport to a gen directly like that. That's really cool. That's a very interesting mechanic. Dream snares are kind of like clown, but a little better. And he's a good time. He's fun. He's not bad at all.
Yeah, I think the thing that's holding him back a little bit is you can definitely, I'm definitely of the mindset, I hate playing against Freddy so much. Like it's not fun. The dream snares, I don't think they're that strong, honestly. Like I always run through them and it's no problem. But the
Yeah, I
fake
might have
pallets can
exaggerated a
really
little bit,
get
but
you. Those can really get you
yeah.
because you're banking on this pallet and it's just not there.
Nope.
Or you thought you saw him set up a fake pallet and you throw down a real pallet. Like it's that can be annoying. And then the teleporting can be really annoying. Like if you have someone that's struggling on your team and you really need to get a gen done, teleports right over there, pop goes the weasels it, and then you lose all your momentum.
Teleports
Like
behind you, nothing personal, kid.
teleports behind you. Ooh, woo. So he can just be such a pain. And then you
Yeah.
add in the non-terror radius stuff and constantly having to wake up. It can be really obnoxious. So I think that definitely holds him back from being anything higher than this. But pure killer wise, really good.
Yeah, he's in a very good spot now. I'm very happy with his placement. But after Freddy, funnily enough, similar claw hand type creature, got ourselves Hag.
Yeah, I'm super biased. I love Hag. I'm a Hag main. Hag stan.
Agatha.
Shout out Lisa one time. What a legend.
Lisa
But
Sherwood.
she's everyone seems to be kind of like on very different ends of the spectrum with Hag. A lot of
Yeah.
people think she's S tier. A lot of people think she's like C tier. But she's really good. She's really good. She has everything you want as long as you put your traps in the right spot. And there's a lot of good places you can put them. Like some people put them on gens. I think it makes more sense to put them near loops and things like
Yeah.
that. But it's whatever you want to do. Like I got to rank 1 through playing Hag. She's great. Like she has the map control. She can end chases really quickly, and she's just really strong. Like, and you have to play on your toes with her. Like you can't get comfortable because as soon as you start to play relaxed and like want to go for crazy things, she pops up and kills you, and that's it. And you can do a lot of mind games by putting the traps on the pallets. Put a trap on a pallet, they pop it, they think you're gonna teleport it, and then they hop over the pallet straight into your arms, like easy peasy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool stuff you could do with her.
Absolutely.
And she's really strong. She has everything you want. She's just not. Obviously, she gets hard countered by 1, urban evasion, and 2, flashlights. Obviously, you're not going to know you're playing against Hags. You can't. Unless, no one's going to bring a flashlight every game.
Yeah,
Unless
exactly.
you're BMing. But,
Flashlights are
even without urban, you can crouch under
Yeah.
Her traps a
around
lot.
the traps
And
very
that can nerf
easily.
her a good amount.
Yeah,
But she's really good.
She's very good at like condemning an area down. She sets up her nest and she just doesn't let you go out of it. You know, she chases you back into it, or she'll make sure that you don't go out of it. And she's really she's honestly she's fun to play against too, because she's like skulking around. She looks kind of silly. She can be looped decently well. You the mind games that require you and her are kind of fun back and forth like that. So she's definitely a good time. I've never had a bad game against Hag. I've never felt like I gotten BS'd by a Hag. personally.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely room for that. There's a lot of players that will just run like basement builds and then just put a million
Eh,
traps around the basement, and
that's
that can be
gross.
really unfun. Um, and it can be pretty frustrating too, especially when you play against hags that just put traps in the most random spots.
That can be
Like
frustrating.
it's yeah,
Absolutely.
and the same thing goes with Trapper. But I think she's a really good killer, and she sometimes can be really fun to play against, sometimes can't be. It just depends on who you're playing against, and that's why she is where she is.
Exactly. That does lead us to our next killer, though. I think that was an excellent place to end on. We've got ourselves one of the newer ones, Pyramid Head.
Pyramid Boy. What are we still in B tier? I can't
Pyramid
see.
Daddy. Yes, we are in B tier. We are third. If we're going from best to worst in the tier, we are on third place.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, that we do have them ranked in order, by the way.
Yes,
The whole tier list is based off of how good they are and how fun they are. But at the end of the day, as far as where they go within a specific tier, it's who's the better killer between them.
exactly.
So Pyramid Head, the base thing about him is we just haven't seen enough from him yet. Like obviously
Yeah.
we've gotten a new killer since he came out, but he's just like he's still very raw. But you look at his power, and he has a lot of potential to be really good. Like
Yes.
really, really, really good. You can do some
Yes.
crazy stuff with Pyramid Head.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's really been able to sit down and like really work out what he needs to be good. He's he's got the ability to hit you through walls, and that's crazy. He can go through pallets, he can go under pallets, he can go through the wall at Killer Shack, he can go through a wall in a building or just any other part of the map. It's kind of crazy. And being able like running some kind of aura reading perk with that is really strong because you can just walk on up and sneak up and boom, you slice them through. Um, and I think personally, I love that Silent Hill's in the game. That's so cool that we actually got like a Silent Hill character in the game. I think that's fantastic. But I think also he can be pretty fun to play against. I personally have had very good games against Pyramid Head because he can do the pallet thing and he can hit you through loops like that. You really have to be good at seeing where he's looking and juking out of the way. That makes him strong and that makes him fun. I think for me personally, I think my basis of fun is how good they are at being looped, but also not brain dead at being looped. You have to be able to, I want a killer to make me think while I'm playing, and I enjoy having myself pressured and my instincts challenged. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's what makes a killer fun, and he really can do that. He can really make you very pressured while you're playing against him. And I think that's really good.
Yeah, and then there's that extra layer of mind games of like you jump through a window and it's like, do I try and go for the obvious loop or where he's gonna cut me off, or do I go a different way to throw him off and he shoots the thing out of the ground and then you get momentum and all that stuff. So being
Yeah.
able to have mind games both ways, I think, is what makes a fun killer. However, I do think he can be really frustrating to play against. Jason and I literally just had this happen the other day
Yep.
where we realized apparently borrow time doesn't work on Pyramid Head if he uses what's his power
The
called? The
Cage of Atonement.
Yeah, if he uses those and you try to use borrow time on it, that doesn't count as a hook, apparently.
Apparently,
And
it could have been a weird
that's
bug, but we're pretty sure that's what it was because they got it was either me or another one of our friends were unhooked by Storm, and borrow time did not activate.
yeah, and it's not like he was running monitor or anything. Like he was very much within the terror radius. Like
Yes.
and that's like a very odd buff. Like obviously, I don't think they accounted for that, but that's really strong to
Yeah.
not have to deal with borrow time. And obviously, you're not going to be putting everyone in cages. Like you're going to want to hook people, with Pyramid Head. But that's just a small detail that makes him that much harder to play against.
Yep. He's in a very interesting spot, and I'm excited to see how much further he's got going. He's got a lot of potential.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. He's also scary as hell.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so next up we've got one that might be a bit of a shock for you guys, but Nurse.
Yeah, I mean, there's not too much to say about Nurse. Like, obviously, she's one of, if not the best killer in the game. She just gets really dragged down by this tier list because she's one of the worst to play against because of that.
Yep.
Like, once you get in those red rank nurses, just uninstall. Like, it's not
Yeah,
fun. It's not fun. Like,
it's a struggle.
you're getting hunted. Like it's crazy. And like there's one more killer in this tier that you'll see why we put that killer over this one. The biggest thing about Nurse though is there is counterplay though. Like yes, you can stealth her out. Like if you're got a group of survivors together, just run Iron Will, Urban Evasion if you want to, and you can make life hell for Nurse.
Yeah.
But even then, I mean, at least in my opinion, playing stealthy isn't super fun. I know a lot of people like it, but it can get a little repetitive after a while, and that being the only way to counterplay Nurse kind of sucks. Like
A little
once you
bit.
get into Chase, like you're just screwed. Like you're just
Yeah.
screwed if they know what they're doing. So
Yeah.
she's incredibly strong, not fun to play against. I feel there's not too much to say other than that,
Yeah.
right?
There's not much to really else go on about. She's just, seeing some of the nutty stuff you can do with her blink. Oh god, playing against Nurse struggle, not fun unless you're sneaking, and even then, sneaking can be kind of boring because you're walking, and if you have urban evasion, crawling. If you have urban evasion, you're walking basically. But even then, God, it feels unfair sometimes. It feels kind of unfair sometimes, especially if they have an extra blink. You're like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna
Hmm.
you can't loop her because loops don't exist with her because she can just blink through anything and everything. I think they changed some of the collision for her though, so she can't like go through some crazy stuff anymore. But she definitely is she's S tier on a power standpoint for.
Yeah, she's incredible.
Yeah, she really is. So who is above Spirit or Spirit? Who's above Nurse in this tier? Spirit.
Yeah,
Whoops.
so like listen, I think most people agree Spirit and Nurse are the best colors in the game.
Absolutely.
But me and Jason personally have Spirit over Nurse just because she doesn't get so hard countered by
Not at
stealth.
all.
Like she's just so good. Like it's
Yeah.
crazy. Like obviously,
Oh man.
it's really tough to deal with Nurse, but the fact that Spirit can also mind game you is so
It's
upsetting.
so, oh my
Like
god, it's not even like mind games like Pyramid Head where he's like, "Oh, I'm going to go left, maybe no, I'm going to go right." This is mind games of like, "Am I vaulting right now?" You have no idea.
yeah,
And it's
like
so annoying and so difficult. That's like the one thing I had some of the most trouble with playing against Spirits when she first came out. Because when this killer first came out, and everyone was like, "How the heck do you play her?" And then people started learning to play her, and then oh my god, not being able to see when she's like vaulting through a window, or the direction she's going sometimes because of her phasing. It's so distracting. It's so
mhm.
hard to deal with. She can just stand still if you're in her terror radius, and you have no idea if she's moving or not.
Yep.
I remember I've gotten down so many times because she just faked her spirit walk, and it's so difficult. I like, how do you counterplay spirit? There isn't really a way.
Yeah, it's just once she has her power ready and she's close to you, you're done for. Like there's nothing you can do about it, and it's really crazy how strong she is.
There's a reason people DC spirit games all the time.
Yeah, because like even though again Nurse is extremely strong too, but even with Nurse you have a chance. Like you can break her line of vision and you can try some jukes. But with Spirit, you're just screwed. Like she has the scratch marks and she's gonna get you. So
Exactly. I mean, look at her crazy eyes. I know you can't see Storm, but she's doing her little like crazy stance where she's just staring.
you know.
I love her lore though. She's really cool. Um, but yeah, nah, she sucks. She sucks to play against. Great killer, sucks to play against.
Mhm.
Um, which this next one might upset some people. If there was a pure power ranking, this would absolutely not be the case. But we're moving into A tier, and number 2 in A tier is Blight,
Yeah,
newest killer.
Blight is a delight. He's so great. He's just like so fun to play. He has to
Yeah,
be one of, if not the best coach playing against, because it's just he's so unpredictable.
yeah,
It like feels like you're at like obviously once you play this game for a while, like you're not actually gonna be scared the
yeah.
majority of the time. But like when you're getting chased by Blight, it feels like a horror movie. It's
It's
just like
crazy.
what is he doing?
Yeah,
Like
he's Mr.
it's
Pinball Wizard, just going everywhere, man. He's bouncing left and right, hitting scores, getting flippers moving. It's crazy.
Yeah, he's insane, and it's super fun to play against. And his power is pretty good too. It's just
Yeah,
we can't put him that high because we don't know how good his power is yet. Like
yeah.
we haven't seen enough
This
of it.
this
Similar to
ranking is
Pyramid Head.
very much based on his fun to play against level.
Yeah, we trust me. Pyramid Head, Nurse, Spirit, they're all better than Blight. But Blight, he got boosted up a lot by how funny he
Yeah,
is.
he's a blast to play against. This man just bouncing around. He's like screaming and like roaring constantly. He's tremoring. He's got that I don't remember the name of it. It's been a while since I've looked this up, but the stuff in the background you can see kind of now and during the Halloween stuff, that I'm pretty sure in lore, the Halloween related like pussy stuff is this. I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
that's what it is.
the Blight,
I don't
the
know.
nectar
The
stuff.
nectar stuff. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is he's very like it's very much interconnected, which is really cool. But this dude's just constantly tweaking out, and it's crazy. And seeing him rush towards you is so scary, but in like a like you're not a jump scare kind of way, but like a oh my god, I need to get out of here.
Hmm.
He feels like a horror movie character, like you said. He feels like genuinely terrifying and genuinely on the edge of your seat while you're playing against him because he's just next to you all of a sudden. So I think he's awesome. I really like myself some Blight.
Yeah, he's great.
All right, so there's only two left. Who's gonna be where? We're about to see. But next in A tier and to round off A tier, Huntress.
Old Huntress, the classic.
Mm-hmm.
She is just she's one of those characters that's always gonna have unlimited potential.
Yeah.
You play against a good Huntress and wow, it is a different game.
Scary.
Like it's a different game. Like it's just crazy. Like
Yeah.
some of these rank 1 Huntresses, they're insane.
Yeah. Getting
So that's
headshot
always,
around loops, like you're
it's
crouching down, you don't think your head's poking out, but they can see the head. They can see it barely enough. All of a sudden, you're
Mhm.
down.
Yeah, it's absurd how strong she can be. But obviously, there's gonna be that other side where people are just garbage with the Huntress. It's so funny.
That just
how
comes
bad
with
they
that
can
just
be.
comes with ranged killers, and she definitely has that effect.
Yeah, it's definitely a spectrum. But obviously, you got to go off how good they can be, and she can be insane.
Yeah.
But also, the biggest thing is obviously, I think most people agree that Nurse and Spirit are going to be better than her, but she's really fun to play against too.
Yeah.
Like she's really strong, but she's fun to play against because of one, a good one is going to scare you, and a bad
Mhm.
one is going to be fun because you can just run around and like have a good time.
Exactly.
So,
And
having that range of both is really good.
yeah, Huntress is absolutely one of my favorite killers to play against. And for me specifically, her humming, it does its job. Like what it's supposed to do in lore, it's supposed to calm her prey and kind of make them feel a little more comfortable so she can come in for the kill. It works for me. I'm never stressed in a Huntress game. I've definitely been BS'd. Absolutely, because back when the hitboxes were bad, and they still are, they're not the best. They're a little better. I'll admit they're a little better. They're still not the best though. The BS was everywhere. But I've never felt stressed or like worried while playing a Huntress game because her humming is just so relaxing. All the time, I'm humming with her. Storm's humming with her. Some other friends we're in the call with will be like, "What are you guys doing?" Like, why are you guys humming? But
She's super infectious. Like,
yeah,
it's just
absolutely.
it's a really fun time all
Yeah,
around.
she's
Um,
cool. Really cool
yeah.
killer.
Shout out to Huntress one time.
So Storm, that puts us at S tier, my friend, and there's only one killer there.
There's only one.
Only one
And,
left. Only
gotta
one
be-
left.
It's gotta be Oni-chan himself, the legend.
Oh my
Listen,
god, bro! I
listen.
hate this killer.
Listen, he's
God, this
really
killer
strong.
sucks.
We know he's not the best killer in the game, like power wise. We know that's true.
Yeah,
However, he is extremely strong, and he's pretty fun to play against. Because again, we've mentioned some of these killers; they can be pretty scary, they can be pretty spooky. But like when Oni gets going, he is genuinely terrifying. Like it's like, oh my
I've mentioned
God.
it a couple times in the past, like with Demogorgon and Michael. Like those killers scare me. I'm terrified playing against Oni when he roars, which he might do in a minute here. When he just gets going, he gets mad, and he just starts hauling absolute ass across the map. It's terrifying. There he goes. He goes, and he is. Does he move faster than Billy, or is he on the same speed level?
I think he might be slower.
He was a little bit slower. I don't know, but he's got more control, and that's what's
Yeah,
terrifying.
It feels like he can, as soon as he gets going, there's no escape. Like it's
Yeah.
just he's gonna get you. He's gonna get you on corners. He's crazy, and it's just insane. Obviously, there is counterplay. There is the beginning of the games, which is tough for Oni, especially if you go against survivors that know what they're doing.
Yeah.
That, okay, you see Oni, just drop the pallets early, loop him as long as you can, don't let him hit you, and then you can get snowballed because of, gen rushing. But most survivors aren't going to play like that.
Not at all.
So, like, he's just so
Yeah.
strong. It's crazy. And he's
He's-
really fun to play against because he's really scary. And it's wild. And he can track you down. Like, if he hits you, he'll always know where you are. You always have to heal.
Exactly. He's got
crazy.
He's got the instant down capabilities of Leatherface and Billy, while also having the surveillance capabilities of Doctor. It's ridiculous. I hate it. I hate it so
insane.
much. I hate playing against Oni, but I also love it because God, does it feel good to be scared. In this game, after playing it for as many hours as we've played it, we've seen a thing or two, and this killer sucks, but also, wow, is he still kind of fun to play against?
Yeah.
Oh man, there was
so good.
There was a survey that came out recently, and one of the options was like, who do you think is the strongest killer, and like who should be nerfed basically. Like, it was a player satisfaction survey, and I 100% said, oh, like, this guy's too strong. Nerf him. Give him a little less control in his rush or something. Like, do something to him because this guy's too strong, man.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that can be frustrating with Oni is that, like, if you're getting bopped by a Huntress or a Spirit or a Nurse, you kind of just have to tip your hat to them because they're pretty hard to play. Like, you need that dedication to get really good with them.
Yeah.
With Oni, it's not the case. Like, you can play him for like 2 games and learn how to play him, and then you're just dominating everything.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. So.
Ridiculous. Stupid killer.
God. But I mean, hey, that's gonna do it though. That's the list.
There it is. Remember, keep in mind, guys, this was based off of how strong they are for the most part, but also we threw in a little bit of spice for the survivors and talking about how fun they are to play against. So that's why this is a very unique tier list, one you might not necessarily see in other places. Definitely not in some of the higher level stuff of some of the more popular YouTubers or streamers you might see. But I think we're in a very good spot here. I think, let us know what you think, actually, in the comment section, where you think you'd place the killers based off of their level of fun to play against, but also their power level. And we'd love to see your guys' opinions. Got anything else to say, Storm?
I think that's going to be it for us. You can catch us on Twitch anytime at DarkZekrom9898 for Jason, or at Storm Targaryen for me. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Let us know what tier list you'd want to see. Let us know if you agree with our list, if you disagree with us, if you think we should change things.
Yeah.
And yeah, appreciate you watching.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. Please remember to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below on what you guys think, and we'll catch you next time for the next Tier Mania video. Take care, everybody.